Hey guys, I'm Rithvik and welcome back to another video about the truth about abs. So in this video, we're going to be talking about 4 tips on how to eat less. Now, these tips are not going to be having to do anything with motivation, drive, or different ways to get yourself up and moving. They're solely and only going to be focusing on how to lower your appetite. And we're going to do that by tricking your stomach into feeling that it's full when it's actually not full. And what it's going to do is it's going to make you want to eat less and help you get your six-pack abs ASAP. So, before we start, I want you to imagine something. Your stomach is a balloon. It expands and it contracts. So when it's full, it expands and it sends a signal to your brain saying, I'm full, don't feed me. When it contracts, it sends a signal to your brain saying, I'm hungry, feed me. So, what we're going to do is, that's the whole trick. What we're going to do with that trick is, we're going to expand your stomach without stuffing it with a whole bunch of calories. And because your stomach will not know the difference between a pound of butter or a pound of water, we can trick it into consuming the pound of water and making it feel full. So, that's exactly what tip number 1 talks about. So let's go to tip number 1. Tip number 1 says, you want to drink 2 glasses of water before any meal. That means before lunch, breakfast, dinner, or any of those snacks in between lunch, breakfast, and dinner you have. Go ahead and have 2 glasses of water and then have that meal. That way your stomach expands before you've actually had the meal and you feel a little bit more full, and then you feel like you're forcing yourself to eat. And that's good because then you end up eating less. And now let's move on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 says, you want to eat foods that have more water content inside of them. And a good example of food with more water content would be eating whole fruit over dry fruit. So here we have a couple of whole fruits. Now, right here I have an apple, fresh apple. This apple is going to have a lot more water in it than a dry apple does. That's because it's dried out. And also, something you may not know is that the dry apple and the whole apple are going to have the same amount of calories and the same amount of fat content. But you're robbing yourself of the fresh nutrients and that water. And once again, what the water is going to do is expand your stomach before you have the meal, or during the meal, in this case, and make you feel full before you actually start eating your meal. And other foods that are high in water content would be salads and cucumbers and carrots. And again, they just simply have more water in them, which helps the whole expanding your stomach process. So now we're going to move to tip number 3. Now, tip number 3 is eat food with fiber in it. Because fiber does 2 things for you. Number 1, it slows down the process of breaking down food in your stomach, which means that food stays for a longer time in your stomach. And when you have food in your stomach, you feel less hungry. So essentially you're feeling less hungry for a longer period of time. And that's good, because that means you're feeling less hungry, you're going to eat less. You already have food in your stomach. And if you don't eat foods with a lot of fiber, it goes into your stomach and right out. And then you start to feel hungry immediately. And then you're looking in the pantry, you're looking in the fridge for more food. And you just want to eat more. So more fiber, it's good. It slows down the process and helps you out there. The other thing that fiber does is that the combined effect of fiber and water together helps you even more. So what happens is the fiber absorbs all the water and then makes you feel full for a longer period of time. And eventually, it makes you want to eat less. Now, foods with lots of fiber would be like beans, veggies, and fruits. Now we're going to move on to tip number 4. Tip number 4. Replace your starches with more protein. Now, cutting carbs from late afternoon to nighttime is a good idea if you work during the daytime. Now, here's why. Carbs in your body break down faster than protein does. Carbs get digested faster, get absorbed faster, and that means that you eat more carbs and then you're always going to be hungry because it breaks down super fast. So eat more protein. So what you can do to lower the number of carbs you eat a day is add a little bit of protein into those meals. What happens is the protein will slow down the breakage of carbs, and similar to tip number 2, just slow down the breakage of any food, in this case carbs, and eventually it's going to make you feel full for a longer period of time. So remember, combine your protein with your carbs. So guys, that's the end of my 4 tips to helping you eat less. I'll see you next time right here at The Truth About Abs. Thank you.